Alright, welcome back to Nicolange's Comic Corner, Classic Legend Known Classics. This is episode number 32, 29, and Doubleshot number 3123. Well, for these two trades here, these two trades are the last official books collecting issues in their volume. Well, the end of both runs, but I'm not that. Well, I am actually with this next trade, not this one, the other one. Well, I'm actually almost done reviewing this series. This one in particular is still not done yet, despite the fact I plan to go ahead and do Volume 2 and then eventually discuss probably Volume 3. First up we have is Witchblade, Borne Again, Volume 3, which contains issues 180 to 185. The final issues of this volume, published in 2015, yes. Yeah, a friend of mine got me into the darkness in this book here. My friend Edgar, he got me into reading this. So we have David Hayne, Ron Martz, and Matt Hawkins. Artwork: Gabriel Rotera, Francisco Mattina, and Matt House. David Hayne was probably brought in because he's one of the co-creators of Witchblade. Yes. Now, first we have Darkness Falls. Now, okay, here's the thing. As for why in the world this book had to end, I don't really know why the book had to end for. I think because maybe Mark's Mystery had enough of this title after being published for 22 years. Yes, this was published back in 1993, and it was concluded in 2015. Yes, seriously. And then not long after, this book was restarted. A new volume, which lasted for like 15 issues, ended. Now we have the current book out right now. Yes. Now, of course, interesting though, this will also be in Ron Martz's hand in the book. Now, if you're really curious about Ron Martz, did he do a run prior to this one? And this is for Witchblade. For Witchblade, yes, this actually was his return to the book. He came back book with 170. After he had left the book, he kind of in a way was technically the final writer of the book after taking over from, you see, he had been putting out consistently, he came in the book with issue 80. Yes, issue 80, left issue 150. He took a break for Tim Seeley's run and came back to do the remaining 16 issues. So I would technically not be finished reviewing his run yet for this book. Just his second run he had. Yeah, probably second run, but not the run. I'll probably say whenever I get a chance to view it. Yes, and the thing with Ron Martz is that, like, he's more known for his DC work. He's a good amount of DC work, but Image mostly he's stuck with Top Cow. He did a few issues even of the Darkness. He did not only Witchblade. Witchblade is probably his most prolific book he worked on, and it's not the earliest book he worked on in Image. No, that would fall to Stormwatch. That would be the first one he worked on, and then it was Wildstorm Rising, and then after Wildstorm Rising, which came out in 1995, then he worked on The Darkness and Witchblade. I think Darkness is maybe the second line of the book. Yes, I think so. Yes, and he was working on this. He worked on Libya Sire Force. Let's see. He worked on Dragon Prince, Firstborn. He worked on the second volume for Magdalena. He also worked on the first volume for Angelus. He was also the writer who kind of started the Artifact series, which I haven't read yet. He also worked on Broken Trinity. This was working on the first run for Witchblade. He worked on like several books. He worked on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. Yes, 8 books. Excuse me, 9 books while working on Witchblade. Not at the same time, per se. Like, when the book started, he just worked on Darkness. And eventually, he got, right after he got the Cyber Force. And then it was Firstborn. And after Borne, it was Dragon Prince. And after Dragon Prince, it was Angelus. Then Artifacts, which when he did Artifacts, did Malakana. And then when Malakana, he got Ravine for a year. He also did Senku. So he worked on a lot of books Spirit Time. Oh yeah, also was also Sell It. Now this would be sadly put as the last book he worked on for Image. You're like, really? Last book? Yes. Yes indeed. Why would this be the last book for Image he worked on? The answer? I have no idea of the reason for it. Last known book he worked on was an issue, was a story called Endless Winter, which came out roughly 5 years ago. That was like the last known thing that's been come out and released by him. Yeah, so the darkness. We have basically Sarah talking to the head of Jackie. We have, and then we have a guy who shows up at his apartment. Excuse me, her apartment. And she's basically walking around in her shirt and a pair of panties. Wearing her pants and stuff with Witchblade. Yes. And there's some stuff here per se. And she's here with some woman. It's not Rhonda. It's somebody else. It's almost like they kind of confirmed the darkness. Jackie is dead. Yes. Like, is he actually dead? I'm guessing he kind of is. Given the fact that Top Cow is publishing comics for him anymore. Not really, no. I'm guessing he's dead. But there's no proof of that he died. Yes, and there's stuff basically with the family, with Hope, a little bit. And there's stuff here briefly with Darkness. He got stabbed, and then of course he get beheaded by Sarah. It's like she's basically seeing it's all a dream. Now, David Hayne did the first two issues, 180, 181. And then we had Power Broker, which I believe this was a two-parter, and then 185 was a multi-issue story, because that practically ended the book. You have Sarah versus this this 5-headed guy. She fights him for a bit. It's like, and of course this agent trying to use basically a rune on her. Like, seriously, that was a guy at her house. And of course, basically, like, tells him to leave, but nope, card. And of course, the employer, after going through all these artifacts, turns out it's actually Maralis. Yes, this very beautiful woman who kind of looks like an elf, but not really. I gotta admit, basically, the artist did a really good job drawing her. Even apparently, her bracelet she wears is an actual snake who tries to consume her, like a test. Algebra? Yeah. And she's only here for a couple issues. They work together for this brief little storyline. There's nothing here about her being sure for these two issues. It just basically she's doing stuff on her own, and apparently she's like an immortal being who's around for a brief period of time. And we kind of wrap up the main story with issue 185. Yes, of course she passed past security. They fight for a bit. And then, of course, where after this thing is dealt with, she proceeds to resign as sheriff tells Kevin he's the sheriff now. Rhonda basically takes over, continues where, and she goes back home to New York City, and that's where kind of the main story ends. And then we have the 2-part series finale. Part 1 done by Ron Martz, Part 2 done by Matt Hawkins. Actually, Power Broker was 180, because basically was, for Darkness Falls was 2-parter, so I think that was probably 180, 181, and that Power Broker was 180 to 183, and that was 184, and now we have basically actually 184 was last. So then we have this last issue. We kind of basically have all these monsters to face off against, and the Witchblade, of course, you realize their old partner Gleason. Yes, Gleason, who probably has not been seen since Ron Martz left the book for about a year. Yep, he's back. And we have all of this various looks for her, including this look here from the early 90s. We also see the Darkness. Danielle Baptiste is Melicana. Yeah, that's what she is now. We have all these various people who were the weapons over the years. And then after goodbye for Ron Martz. And then we kind of basically get this. So the artwork turns into kind of what it was back in the 90s, going back to style for some reason. When she first got Darkness, then we see like a passing of torch with a Witchblade, like basically like the whole thing with Danielle Baptiste before she became Melicana. And then we see her the team with each other, and she's shared by Gleason, and that's pretty much it here. Yep, that is it for this book. So for Ron Martz's return to the book, it was actually really good. So, okay, so I was so basically 184 was definitely that cover. 185 was this cover right here, which is a cover that has been used a lot when you look at Witchblade. Yes. And like I said, this was a goodbye of the book before I got relaunched, just not long after that. Excuse me. This book was really good. Didn't feel as though basically whatever Ron Martz was establishing basically was like not here, per se. Yeah, basically it was not here. It's like, I guess maybe that the whole section of any book probably was Mark Sylvester's idea. That's probably my guess anyways. As for why he probably felt this though was time, I guess it probably was time. But this is not me unfinished reading the title yet. Oh no. Not that. Not even reviewing the first volume. Like, if you're a little curious, so I have for Witchblade these following issues still have to review: 58 to 79, 92 to 124, and 131 to 150. That's literally all that's left. It's basically like 22. Let's see. 22 plus 32, that's like 54 plus 20. So I have roughly 74 issues left to go for the first volume left to review. Yes, definitely. But I get the book roughly 9 out of 10. It was a good book. I kind of felt as though reading this book, it felt as though that there probably was more story planned, but I guess basically Ron Martz didn't have time to. Next up, basically, we have is The Darkness by David Hayne. With arc here by, this is Darkness Reborn, Volume 3, which contains, Jerry Hahn does the artwork here. This book contains issues 112 to 116 of Darkness. Basically, we have a 2-parter, a standalone issue, and the final 3 issues of the book. We have Hope's Underground Adventure, which focuses all on Hope, Jackie's daughter, a standalone issue, and the Age of Reason, and the book. Yes, so This whole first 3 issues all focus on Hope. Jackie is not really doing anything in these 3 issues at all. It's basically what she's trying to explore. So it's like a little soul story for her. Jackie is kind of there, but also having some fairy stuff. It was really weird. And then we have The Heart of Darkness, which is a standalone issue that, reading this issue, it feels like this was probably meant to be for another issue of Tales of Darkness, because this featured Jackie at all. And then we have the final 3 issues, we just finally feature Jackie. He ends up shooting some gangsters. He's with various women, like, oh yeah, I got basically like, who's pregnant? And this stuff with the darkness. And this guy trying to assume the darkness, be his own host. Yep. And somehow, someway, Jack gets the darkness back in him somehow. And of course, still with Jenny here. And then there's some zombies here, per se. And Hope kills somebody with her power. And then this guy gets killed. And it says not the end, just starting. And I'm like, that's it? You finish reading these 5 issues, you're like, that's it? That's the end of the series for the Darkness? This abrupt ending? Does he focus on Jackie at all? He's the main character. This is his book. And yet a lot of the book basically focused on him the last few issues. And for this very brief run for Darkness, this run that lasted for a very short period of time, roughly 3 trades, it took up the last 16 issues of the book. So I do have 2 trades if you want to get a chance. It'll be The Curse, Volume 6 and 7. And then that'll be it for the book. Well, there's also Broken Trinity. That's the only thing else to review for this one. But in the case of this book overall, Rebirth was just bizarre, to say the least. And reading this book, it's kind of no wonder that Dark Horse... Now, in the case of Witchblade, that actually had a pretty good ending with it. This, per se... It just seems like, though, that reading this book, it's like, I guess they decided to end it because they had nothing else to do with the title, per se. That's what it seemed like, anyways. Yes. And I'm like, okay, so you restored this book to Triple Jumping in 2009. And you ended in 2013. I did not know the reason. Now, the reason why, of course, they restored Triple Jumping, because basically, it was going to go 100 anyways. But these issues themselves are... I like the artwork. The story itself is not good. So, what a crappy way to end a long-running title that's publishing mostly on off since '96. Yes. Which, when they launched Volume 2, it was like 1 year and about 3 months later. And then they ran that book for 2 years, and then brought it back a little over 2 years later with Volume 2, which lasted for... Seemed like it took a while for Volume 3 to come out. Yeah, it took basically a little over a year to release 10 issues. 10. Now, of course, also, there could be another reason why that they said it. Like in the case of Witchblade, this book also had an issue with, like, coming out on time. Because here's the publication date for Volume 1. July 1986. Final issue, August 01. That's 5 years. There should have been 6 issues released. Nope, and after 40. Volume 2, 24 issues. Started in December 2002, concluded in November 2005. Okay, that one seemed like it was published on time. No problem. Volume 3, 10 issues. Started in December 2007, concluded January 2009. Could you probably see this book published on time? No, not really. Well, the thing was, there's been technically one thing released. Let's see, there's been a couple things released since this book was concluded in 2013. 2 one-shots. First it was Close Your Eyes, and the other was Violent Traditions. Violent Traditions, in case you're curious, was released in March of 2014. Close Your Eyes was released in June of 2014. So it's like they released the first one roughly 3 months after the title concluded. It wasn't even this trade paperback. Not really. Yeah, if you're really curious about those two one-shots, are they in trade? No, not really. So overall, for the Darkness, unlike in the case of Witchblade, where there's actually 74 issues to review, not in the case of Darkness. Nope. For the Darkness, it is roughly 11 issues. And that's it. But with this per se, on this app, I am done reviewing done reviewing Darkness. I'm probably going to do one of the spam titles next. I'm thinking either the Artifacts or probably Magdalena. Probably next. Yep. Oh, and excuse me. Those who are curious about those 2 titles, Magdalena. Well, it did have one ongoing volume. I'm not really sure if this is all in trade paperback. I don't know. I'm assuming that the Magdalena is. Presumably, yes. So, I still got basically lots of discuss for her. So, at least I have another character to discuss. Yeah, depends on what my trades are for this one. Witchblade in her hand, well, since there's no more trades on here for Volume 1, I'm going to show you Volume 2, which is only just 2 trades. Yep. I really wish that Image would have finished collecting this book, but they did not. Don't know why, but they didn't. At least the Darkness is entirely in trade. You're like, really? Is in trade? Yeah. The whole series is in trade paperback. They've collected the whole thing. No problem. Which is interesting. But if you compare the 2 endings, Witchblade had a much more satisfying ending. Though, in the case of the ending of Witchblade, Sarah would kind of return in Volume 3, but it's a reboot. Yep, it's a complete reboot. So basically, you could say that 185 is the end of the original version of Sarah Pacelli before they said reboot her in when I think it was like last year they launched the new book. I'm probably going to do that pretty soon. Yes, so like in the case of basically stuff with Hellboy, if you stuff more Hellboy stuff, now basically just going to do, I think it's like roughly 4 more trades up to go for Witchblade, and that's it. Darkness is done. The ones around here, Darkness is done when it comes to that. But Magdalena is next. As was placing Witchblade, I finished that. Probably going to be at the Artifacts. Probably. Depends. Okay, so that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. And I will see you all tomorrow with my reviews for I Left My Eric Benchmark joining former students to explore Dungeon F's Black Butler, One Piece. From All Kind of Master Swordsman, and I'm Evil Lord, let me check out Empire. Plus, maybe like, who knows how many comic corners and Doctor Who, okay? See you. Bye.